Welcome to the show. It's a girl Sarah right here on Relaxed Radio. Now you're tuned into the sunrise with me, and I'll be here to keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. So make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to be sharing a few tips on how to have the perfect night's sleep. And the reason I'm sharing some good tips for you to have the perfect night's sleep is obviously because a lot of us have been struggling with falling asleep, right? And I know I'm not the only one who is in this when I say this, because I know you and I we've both have had sleeping difficulties, right? And obviously with all of these changes that are happening in the world, all of the changes that we've been going through in addition to the pandemic, there are so many different things that we have been going through as well. And with having to adjust to all of this, it has gotten really hard for us to get that perfect night's sleep. So, obviously, to make sure that you get the perfect night's sleep, I'm here to share some tips and what exactly you can do to make sure you get that perfect night's sleep. So, make sure you stay tuned. And if you have any thoughts, if you have any opinions, any questions that you want to share with us, make sure you get in touch with me. All you need to do is just text me on 078 The number is down there below, so you can definitely make sure that you text me on that number. Okay, that number right there, make sure you text me on it. Okay, don't forget to text me on that number. And obviously with everything that's happening, I want to make sure you share your thoughts with me, that you share your opinions with me, and that you tell me what you're feeling as well. And obviously don't forget to go follow us on our socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and like us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and make sure that you're always updated and informed with the very latest that happens here, not just here in the UK, but in fact all over the world as well. And don't forget to download the app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, and that way you can make sure that you're always listening to the conversation from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. So don't forget to do that. Okay, but right now let's actually get into a conversation on how exactly to get the perfect night's sleep. Okay, now the reason I'm going to tell you, or I will be telling you about how to get the perfect night's sleep, is actually to make sure that you have ways to make sure that you get that perfect sleep that you deserve, because you deserve it. Okay, so that's why I'm sharing these tips with you. So let's talk about some different tips that people from all over the world actually use to help themselves fall asleep. Okay, now, for one person whose name is Beth, what she actually does to help herself fall asleep is actually she makes sure that she keeps a puzzle book next to her bed. Right now, in no way are these specific for you only, or it's not just it's definitely not going to work for everyone. So that's why I'm going to give you multiple tips so you can actually check them out and let me know what exactly is going to help you. Okay, now Beth, she keeps a puzzle book next to her bed, and she makes sure that she stops drinking coffee by 2 p.m. Okay, now the reason she does this is she wants to reduce her intake of caffeine after 2 p.m., or she completely stops drinking caffeine, because caffeine in fact keeps your brain awake, right? And that's why some of us who drink a lot of caffeine have a lot of trouble sleeping at night. It's because we drank a lot of caffeine, and caffeine makes your mind so active that it makes it very hard for your mind to get that rest that your mind needs. Okay, so that's what caffeine does. So obviously, while keeping a puzzle book next to her bed, she also stops drinking caffeine. And every time, if she gets up in the middle of the night, what she does is she does a few puzzles until she gets drowsy, right? And then she goes back to sleep. And she said that this actually helped her to get that sleep that she needed, because sometimes she tends to not get that. She tends to wake up in the middle of the night, and sometimes it gets very hard for her to go back to sleep. So definitely keeping that puzzle book next to her helps her fall asleep, right? Now that's what she does. So something else that John does, or something else that someone else does, which is John, is what John does is that he sleeps under a weighted blanket. Okay, and how that helps him is because he feels very comfortable and secure. He feels, obviously, when you're tucked into nice thick sheets, obviously you feel much, much more comfortable and much, much more secure, right? So what he does is he enjoys this sense of security, this sense of comfort that he gets. And after that, using that, he actually it using that, he actually goes back to sleep, right? So if he wakes up in the middle of the night with that wake up blanket, what happens is that his mind isn't actually full of all those racing thoughts that are normally there when he is just sleeping without that weighted blanket, right? Instead, his thoughts are in fact much, much more calm, and he can automatically go back to sleep after he wakes up. Okay. Now, for that's just what John does, right? Now what Sarah does actually is she puts on a yoga nidra video, and it helps her drift off to sleep while she's listening to it. Okay, so the goal of it is actually to go to sleep before the video finishes. So in a way, you're challenging yourself, right? You're telling yourself, okay, you need to fall asleep before this video ends, and in a way, it has helped Sarah. But obviously, not all of these methods are going to work for everyone, so that's what we're talking about, a few different methods that will definitely help you. You can try out some of these. Let me know if you do try them out, and get in touch with me and share them with me if you try it out. But obviously, it's not going to work for everyone, right? That's why you got to test this whole thing out. You got to pick and choose and figure out what exactly works for you, and that will definitely help you. Okay, now make sure you stay tuned, because right now we're actually going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking about the different methods, different things that you can do to get a good night's sleep.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education, or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time, and we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Now, I'm very, very excited to be here because we're having a very important and even interesting conversation on ways in which you can actually have a good night's sleep. Okay. Now, these are different methods that different people have tried, and that's why I'm telling it to you because some of it has in fact helped me, and some of it might in fact help you. So that's why I'm so excited to be here on this beautiful Wednesday morning to be sharing these, thoughts, these tips and tricks with you so you can tell me what you think and what you feel about it. Okay. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget to text me on 078 because I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you feel. And I want to make sure I want to make sure you tell me how you feel about these tips and tricks that I am giving you today. Okay. So don't forget to do that because, like I said, we have a lot of interesting conversation to be having and to be sharing with you with regard to getting the perfect night's sleep. Okay, now before we head back into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that if you like the content that we talk about, if you like the things that we talk about, because we talk about everything from science to sports to technology, entertainment. We talk about everything. If you are interested in all of that, make sure to go follow us on our socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can also download our app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And that way you can actually make sure that you are aware and that you're informed about everything that's happening in the world, and that you're also contributing to the conversation with your thoughts and ideas. And I don't think that it can get any better than that. Okay. So make sure you do that. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to hear what you're thinking. So share them with me. Okay. Now let's head back into our conversation on ways in which we can make sure that we get a good night's sleep. Okay, now for Rebecca, what she does is she basically plays white noise all night. Okay, so she lives in this place. So next to her house is actually a fox den, and because of that, there's a lot of noise and whatnot. And to basically stop herself from all of that noise, to distract yourself from all of that noise, the white noise actually helps to cover the wailing of the foxes. So because of that, she actually plays white noise throughout the night to help her and her family fall asleep. So that's just what Rebecca does, right? Now there are other things that you can do as well. For example, what Anna does is that, or rather, Anna does is that she basically imagines a familiar location, and bit by bit, she makes it more and more surreal, right? So, for example, if you take the beach towel that you're lying in, if you're taking the beach towel that you're lying in while you're at the beach, you can imagine it to then become sun warmed slate, right? And this slate is in fact cut into the shape of a star, and that basically is just there. And what happens is the sand dunes actually roll towards you and pick up on that sun warm slate, which is cut into the shape of a star, and then you're adrift on that sea of sand, which slowly turns into molten lava. Now I know that sounds crazy, and I know it sounds very trippy, but that's a trick. Okay, the more you imagine something very trippy, the more you imagine something that doesn't make sense, that's nonsensical, the better it helps you sleep. Okay, but the trick is you have to keep on making it very surreal, right? You have to think about all the details. You have to think about the ways in which it can actually become much much more surreal, and then put that in there, and that will actually help you you know that will help you sleep better. Okay, so that's what Anna does, right? And I mean, it's pretty interesting because if you think about it, you never thought that the way you can go to sleep is by imagining some trippy image and making it very very surreal. Because look, we're all used to counting sheep and counting stars in our sleep to help us go to sleep, but we've never thought about imagining something that makes absolutely no sense and making it more and more real, right? Now, something else you can actually do is to wear an eye mask. Okay, now eye mask, it actually helps you to not get it helps you to stay in the dark. Okay, and what I mean when I say this is, when you want to go to the toilet in the middle of the night when you're asleep, after when you wake up, and how sometimes you have to turn on the light, and that really messes up your sleep schedule because your eyes then adjust to the light and finds it very hard to go back to sleep. Well, the best way to stop that happening to you actually is by wearing an eye mask. Okay, now the trick behind this is when you wear an eye mask, even when you want to go to the toilet, you do not put on the lights, right? You need to sort of figure your way out in the dark, right? And if you're someone like me who always goes and knocks on the door or the walls, well, I guess it's just a work in progress, right? The trick is you do not put on the lights, because if you do put on the lights, there's no point of that eye mask to begin with. So obviously, you need to make sure that you don't put on the lights and that you walk your way through to the bathroom. Wherever the bathroom is, make sure you walk there and make sure you do not turn on the lights, right? Because it's not going to really help you to adjust and get back to sleep. Right now, something else that someone does is actually studying some Russian and German to fall asleep. Okay, now so basically, what she does is when she wakes up in the middle of the night, to make sure that she doesn't fall, to make sure she gets sleepy again. What she does is she studies either German or Russian for an hour, and that actually helps her fall asleep back, because it makes her very drowsy, and because she's concentrating so much on studying the German and Russian at that point, it makes it very, very hard for her to actually I mean, when you're focused and when you're concentrating, after a while you get tired, right? So that's what happens. So she then gets very drowsy, and then she goes back to sleep. So it's quite ingenious, if you ask me. I mean, you never thought that sleeping, or rather, studying some Russian would actually help you go back to sleep, or would help you understand. It would help you go to sleep, right? Because did you ever think about that? Because I definitely did not. Okay. Now that's what Claire does to make sure she can go back to sleep, especially if she wakes up in the middle of the night, which is very, very cool and very clever. So let me know if you try some of these out. Let me know what you think as well. And it's time for me to actually end this, but don't worry, because I'll be back in a few minutes to talk to you about ways in which you can avoid summer burnout. Okay. Especially, or rather, social burnout this summer. Okay. So don't forget to stay tuned, because I will be back in a few more minutes.